This is Akashvani. On the eve of the budget session of Parliament, the News Services Division of Akashvani brings you a discussion on issues before Parliament. The participants are Gopal Krishna Agarwal, spokesperson from Bharatiya Janata Party, G. Kumar Nayak, Lok Sabha MP from Indian National Congress, and Anmol Pawar, spokesperson from Aam Aadmi Party. The moderator is Tina Jha, journalist.
The budget session of Parliament is set to begin tomorrow and will run through the 2nd of April. As per parliamentary convention, the session will be held in two phases. The first phase will continue till 13th February, followed by a recess, during which parliamentary department-related standing committees will examine the budgetary proposals. The second phase will resume on 9th of March and conclude on the 2nd of April. The session will open with the President's address to members of both houses. The centerpiece of this session, the Union Budget for 2026-27, will be presented on the 1st of February. It's a Sunday and a rarity of sorts in terms of presentation of budgets in the history. So as Parliament prepares for this high-stakes session, I am joined by representatives of various political parties to discuss their priorities, expectations and agenda to make the session more meaningful and productive. So let me welcome on the program today Mr. Gopal Krishna Agarwal from the BJP, Mr. G. Kumar Nayak from the Congress Party and Mr. Anmol Pawar from the Aam Aadmi Party. Mr. Agarwal, so let's begin the discussion with you as a representative of the ruling party. First, on the expectations from the Union Budget, continuity has been the hallmark of this government's budget. In the wake of the current geopolitical economic landscape, but most importantly, the resilience shown by the Indian economy, what growth-oriented measures should we expect from the budget 2026-27, which sustains India's growth momentum?
Budget session is economically very important, and India is at the juncture where there is a strong potential and movement towards India becoming the economic power in the coming decade. And we are already a fourth largest economy, and very soon we are expected to become the third largest economy. This budget, I think, will lay the foundation and strengthen the already efforts done in this segment to strengthen our economy. Budget is an important document, and global level people are looking towards India to provide the leadership. Manufacturing sector needs a big support from the government, and particularly MSME sector, medium, micro and small enterprises, they need a big support from the government. Already government has done lot things on ease of doing business, ease of living, creating demand in the economy, and simplification of indirect tax under GST regime, reduction in indirect tax, reduction in individual tax and reduction in corporate tax. So the focus will be for giving big boost to our manufacturing sector and providing a roadmap and vision for the Viksit Bharat in this budget. And we look forward that what the laws and regulations have to be implemented for taking good benefit of the free trade agreement, bilateral trade agreement that India is undertaking with various countries, particularly European countries, Australia, Gulf countries, etc. Their benefit, how that can be realized through for our manufacturing sector will be the focus.
Mr. Nayak, as the principal opposition, what are some of the critical and timely issues that the Congress hopes to raise during the budget session? We understand there is very little scope because the budget and the motion of thanks to the President's address will be central to this session. But as far as the people-centric demands are concerned, as far as expectations from the Union Budget are concerned, where does the Congress party stand?
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. We are also looking forward to the budget session. As you rightly mentioned, the debate will be centered around the presentation of the budget, economic survey, President's address and things like that. However, I need to make it very clear now that the way the ruling party has been trying to project that we are a very efficient democracy and we had a wonderful productive session during the winter session, 110% productivity, 121% in Rajya Sabha. These are all, what we need to be having is meaningful debate, making the government accountable to people. That is the only forum that is available to parliamentarians so that we discuss things threadbare. It's not enough that we pass bills in a haste. In the last winter session, we saw that happening. Very important bills were discussed, not enough. So there was a huge rush to pass the bills. Very important bills were passed. Thereby, you come out with a figure like 110% productivity. We are not a corporate body. We are not running on productivity efficiency. We are running on accountability and being transparent and being fair to the opposition party and giving them opportunity to discuss. That is my first point. Coming forward, we noticed a very interesting phenomena last winter session. For example, that insurance bill. I believe that insurance bill was discussed and debated in the previous standing committee. How is it relevant when the entire the Lok Sabha itself has undergone a change, and the issues would have undergone change because this kind of a standing committee scrutiny would have happened about 5-10 years back. Things would have changed dramatically. It was totally inappropriate that we end up saying that this was considered by standing committee and the important bill would be passed in great haste. So that should not be happening. And as compared to nearly 71% of the bills which were referred to the committees, 20%. So we should get an opportunity to discuss threadbare. Having said that, now the budget session, as you rightly put it, it will be focused on the kind of economic survey that the government presents and the kind of budget that it is going to present. So right now, some of the major issues that are concerning the people and the party are the way in which foundational program like Manrega has been totally repealed, and in place of it, a very schematic kind of a thing is proposed, and it is not enough to save the poor people from hunger and unemployment. Mm-hmm. So we would be focusing on our Manrega, and we would be agitating across the country, and we will bring the fight to the Lok Sabha also to ensure that it is brought back. That is one thing. And the labor courts now have come out, and there is time for us to offer our suggestions and comments. In fact, as a parliamentarian, I am interacting with the labor unions and industry bodies about how far these labor courts are good for the industry and the labor, and how that can be improved. So those things also we would like to discuss in the parliament. Apart from that, you must have realized, the 15th Finance Commission term has come to the closure and 16th Finance Commission is ongoing. Okay, I mean, they have submitted the report. Right. We would like to focus our attention on the stress that is being generated between the center and the state as far as the fiscal devolution is concerned. The southern states have voiced in number of fora regarding the insufficiency of funds post GST. Mm-hmm. The entire fiscal power is concentrated with the central government, and I think this unbelievable concentration of power, and it was never before in the history of this country that this kind of a centralization of fiscal power was there. And we need to sit down and discuss threadbare and address the concerns of major states like Karnataka, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, and states as such. One should not be left with the feeling that the state is being expropriated. I'm using this word very deliberately and carefully, and that kind of a feeling is not good for any part of the country. The idea should not take roots anyway. Parliament should be the forum, and in which all these things are decided and discussed threadbare. The Finance Commission is as much concerned with the fiscal affairs as much, and equally concerned about the political aspect of the entire distribution of the funds which have been collected. So this has to be understood properly, and time should be given for discussion of all these things. Apart from that, of course, there are issues like rising wealth concentration in the country. Whatever development that we are seeing seems to be focused on a few capitalists gaining more and more economic power and control. This is a growing tendency of centralization. The economic centralization, also one of the aspects of centralization which is being felt in the nooks and corners of the country. This has not only economic cost, it has got a political cost also. So I hope
that's right.
All these things
you've listed out a host of issues that the Congress Party plans to bring up, and which you prioritize ahead of the session. But how do you intend to use the various?
Let me add only one more issue. That's the foreign policy issues which the country is facing.
Sure, Mr. Naik. I'll come back to you. Let me bring in Mr. Pawar into the conversation as well to understand what is it that his party is prioritizing, and also what are the parliamentary tools that perhaps opposition parties will be using in order to make the session more meaningful, more productive, sans disruptions. Mr. Pawar, this is a program where we are discussing issues that different political parties will be prioritizing in the upcoming budget session of Parliament. So while the budget and the motion of thanks to the President's address will be central to this session, which will be held in two parts, give us and our listeners a sense of what are some of the key areas that your party will be prioritizing, which you expect the government to also include in this budget, which comes at a very critical time.
Tina ji, this parliament session is very important because the government is going to present budget in this session. And we know that budgets are not just numbers on paper, they reflect priorities, values and vision of governance. And they are also a test of governance and accountability. And as the opposition will engage constructively, ask questions and highlight gaps wherever necessary, while keeping the discussion focused on outcomes and public welfare. We know that this government has been in power for the last 11 years and now this government must be judged only on one parameter, that is accountability. And the moot question, has the life of the common man, the Aam Aadmi of this country, has improved or not? And if we look at the ground reality, I think most of the Indians will agree that the answer is clearly no, because if we look at the government schools, they are in a very bad situation. Thousands of schools have been closed. Look at the private schools, the fees are sky high. Look at the government hospitals, they lack basic facilities. And if we go to private hospitals, you'll have to spend your entire lifetime of savings. We are not getting clean water. We are not getting clean air. The air which we are breathing in the national capital is poisonous. Clean drinking water, as I said, is still a luxury. So let's talk about law and order in Delhi. We are considered a rape capital. We are considered a murder capital. Just 5 days. In just 5 days, more than 15 murders took place. Daylight robbery, murder, extortion, rapes are happening. Delhi police data says that on a daily basis, 4 rapes are happening in the national capital. People are not safe. So these are some of the issues which directly impact life of a common man. While the government project that we are presenting a budget of thousands of crores, at the same time, the common man of this country, the Aam Aadmi of this country thinks that how will he pay the EMI? Whether his income has increased or not. That inflation is increasing on a daily basis. Price rise, hospital bills, school fees. So that directly impacts.
So you heard representatives of both the Congress party and the Aam Aadmi party list out some of the issues that they aim to bring before the House. If we compare it to the previous session, we saw that the winter session of Parliament was quite a productive one. Several important bills were passed. There were also special discussions on Vande Mataram, electoral reforms. How will the government going forward ensure that the budget session is also quite meaningful and productive? We understand that the highlight will be on the budget and then also on the motion of thanks to the President's address. But apart from that, in terms of countering the opposition strategy, in terms of reducing the number of disruptions and ensuring that the outcome is quite productive when the budget session ends?
I think government is very focused. Under Modi ji's leadership, in the winter session, we saw landmark amendments with the labor code being notified and several other important bills already passed. But some important bills like security market code, then IBC amendment bill, which have a long-term impact on our economy, including this higher education bill for institutions bill. They were referred to the standing committee. We hope that these important bill will be taken in this session. And opposition will have a proper detailed discussion on this, and their concerns have already been taken care under the various standing committees of the parliament. Still they have anything, they can discuss on this, but these are very important for economy to move further ahead.
Mr. Agarwal, just to seek more clarity on where the government stands as far as issues related to the common man, as far as issues related to the tariffs are concerned. Now, this is something that has been highlighted by the opposition parties. In fact, the principal opposition party has, launched a protest against Manrega has been removed. They're saying that it is hampering the farmers and the rural sector in a major way. So where does the government stand on countering the opposition strategy on some of these issues that the opposition will definitely bring before the House during the budget session?
I think public pressure is very important. And we have seen in several past sessions in Parliament that opposition has been disrupting proceedings of the Parliament. Even the chairman of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha have requested them, come for discussion, discuss about the bills, give your concerns, but don't disrupt Parliament. And I expect that under this new session, the opposition will be more responsible, and there is a strong pressure on the opposition that they have been continuously losing one election after another. So they should participate in good governance, and through good governance and implementation of good laws only benefit of the common man comes together. We have already done a lot through reduction on indirect taxes, and even the individual tax has been reduced, and there is nil tax up to 12 lakh rupees per annum, and even corporate tax has been reduced, and government welfare schemes have come out with exemplary results. So as far as common man is concerned, we have a low tax regime, direct, indirect, and even corporate tax is reduced, and government is doing a lot on building infrastructure for ease of living, and government welfare schemes are going to continue. Even certain amendments where opposition is objecting, they are, including Manrega, where new G. Ramji bill has been introduced, they are simplifying and reducing the corruption and leakages that were part of, that had seeped into the whole system, that government has reduced through G. Ramji. So I think common man is the focus of our government, and the welfare of the last person, that is Antyodaya, is our ideology. The benefit to the last person is our only aim that we pursue.
Mr. Pawar, given that this session will prioritize mainly the budget and the motion of thanks, which of course will give an opportunity to the MPs to talk about these issues, how do you see your party shaping parliamentary debate using the various parliamentary tools to bring these people-centric demands, people-centric issues to the center of the debate during these 30 sittings that the budget session will see?
See, we have always been raising issues which affect the life of the common man, but the problem is that this government runs away from accountability. If you question them, they won't allow the parliament to function. That's the moot problem. On every issue which affects the common man of this country, they are missing even from television debates. Tell me a single debate where the Bharatiya Janata Party has constructively answered why we are facing this pollution, severe pollution. Recently we saw that even one of the tournaments got cancelled because the players, international players, withdrew from it, just because the AQI was touching around 1000. And recently we saw that how the self-proclaimed guardians of Hindu Dharma, they have done the biggest adharma by destroying temples. Manikarnika temple have been destroyed. People are witness to that. Our leader, when he raised this issue, an FIR was slapped against him.
Gopalji, since we are talking about the common man, what is it that you would assure to the common man for the budget which is coming for the next fiscal? Last year, I remember in the previous budget, there was a major relief for the middle class, and then that was the biggest highlight. Where do you expect the government to bring in more relief measures to particularly the middle class in the budget for the next fiscal as well?
Pollution is an important issue. Environmental concerns are important issue for us. And if you look into some of the cities where pollution is a big concern, government is working on a war footing. In Delhi particularly, the Chief Minister Delhi has been doing putting lot of effort on the reduction in pollution. It is a big concern, and government is fully committed to come with any suggestions if opposition has, which can give desired result. We are ready to accept them and discuss them in the parliament.
Mr. Pawar, let's ask you a question on how do you intend to make the parliament functioning more meaningful without disruptions? Because when, as an Aam Aadmi, we are watching on television screens that the parliament is not functioning, it does impact the image and the credibility of the institution, the temple of democracy. So just ahead of this session, we heard the Lok Sabha Speaker say it was an appeal to every single representative of Parliament that please allow the houses to function. Please ensure that you are bringing forth issues that matter to the people and discussing them meaningfully without disruption. How do you respond to the Lok Sabha Speaker's appeal? At the same time, what is your strategy to bring these issues to the table, discuss them threadbare, as you rightly said earlier on in the program, but without disruptions?
As I said, whenever an opposition leader will ask for accountability of the government, they will run away from the issues. we will just ask simple question because it's the 11th, 12th budget which this government is passing. We'll just remind the government that though they claim that we are the fourth largest economy, I'll give you some hard facts, but still in per capita income, we are ranked at 124th. Less than 2% of the national budget goes to education and healthcare, which directly impacts the common man. India is 105th on the Global Hunger Index out of 124 countries. We are ranked 126 in World Happiness Index. 35.5% of the children under 5 are stunted, 18.7 are underweight. 2.9% of children die before they reach the age of 5. 85 crore people survive on 5 kg of ration per month. The top 1% own 40% of the nation's wealth and the bottom 50% own 4% of the total wealth. The top 1% earn 23% of the total income, and while bottom 50% earn just 13%. 64% GST comes from the poor, but this government doesn't recognize that. So whenever we'll ask these hard questions, I am pretty much sure that government will not let this house function. That's the reality. And if you ask me some of the schemes, I've also noted down some of the schemes which they announced earlier. Make in India.
Okay.
The promise was...
We'll discuss the schemes. We'll discuss the schemes in just a bit. Let me go back to Mr. Nayak. The same question, Mr. Nayak, because the challenge here is you want to discuss the people-centric issues. In fact, during the winter session, it was heartening to see discussions on the electoral reforms with a special focus on SIR, which the opposition parties had been wanting, through consensus building. How do you ensure that meaningful discussion takes place in whatever time that the budget session allows on issues that matter to people of your constituencies? You spoke about some of the challenges that people face on a daily basis, but with disruption, with forced adjournments, these are not possible.
I agree partially that disruption should be minimal, but it is for the ruling party which holds the majority in the House to ensure that the House is run properly. So if you want to discuss with SIR, it has to be preceded by a detailed hour-long discussion about Vande Mataram. That's what you saw. Only after we yielded for a discussion which perhaps, in my opinion, did not require that kind of a timeline. So we had to virtually cede space and then agree to whatever the ruling party said. And I don't want to use the word waste because these are all maybe anyway somewhere it is meaningful. But it doesn't mean that we should have wasted tens of hours to discuss on Vande Mataram and then subsequently taken up what was most important for the people, SIR. This time also, I am sure, as my colleague from Aam Aadmi Party has just now listed out, there are a number of issues which we need to discuss. But will the government allow the discussion to happen is a moot question. There are a number of other instruments like questions and question hour and then the 377 statements and 0 hour discussions. We would like to take up a number of issues which are pertaining to our constituencies. General economy, the tariff issues, the foreign policy failure which has impacted the economy and the living in this country. All these things we would like to discuss threadbare and make the government realize where it is going wrong. In fact, it is not up to 2029 that we can come to power and wield the baton ourselves. We will only be advising this government. We will only be making this government accountable so that the next 3 years of the government is done properly. We can't go astray any further in the global order. Today we are left without any friend. There is absolutely nobody to vouch for this country. The President of the United States treats the Prime Minister of this country. Thereby, the honor of this country is diminished. Now, standing of this country is diminished all the time. So this kind of not being able to stand up, not being able to answer at the national or the international fora is the very first time that the country is witnessing this kind of a scenario globally. All these things we would like to discuss and hold the government to account and also to show a path. There is no shame in accepting what the opposition party is trying to convey.
Mr. Pawar, does your party subscribe to the views of the Congress party in terms of the issues that Mr. Nayak has highlighted, or does your party have an independent strategy going into the budget session of Parliament?
See, we have raised issues of the common man on the roads as well as in the parliament. As I said, that government in this budget session will say that the figures look amazing. They have presented a very good budget. But as opposition will ask that whether the common man is getting the benefits of it, whether his life has improved, whether he's living a dignified life. And as I said, I'll just highlight some of the schemes because I made a note of it, that how shallow are their promises. They have promised in 2014 a number of schemes. They announced a number of schemes, but the result is zero. Make in India, they said that they'll raise manufacturing to 25% of the GDP and create millions of jobs. However, the reality is that manufacturing share fell by more than 15-16%. They promised that they'll provide 2 crores job per year, but the reality is that the unemployment is at an 45-year high. They said that they'll double farmers' income by 2022. Even in 2026, we all know that more than 700 farmers laid down their lives. 3 black farm laws were introduced, which the government was forced to roll back.
You find enough time to bring these issues to the table through consensus building. You're able to discuss these issues on the floor of the parliament. But for now, the silver lining has been that despite uncertainties in the global economic landscape, India continues to remain the fastest growing major economy. Gopalji, one more question related to the common man, and because the opposition will be discussing these issues, they've made G Ramji bill into a major issue. They say that removal of Manrega has been hampering the rural sector, particularly the farmers. So going forth, what is the strategy of the government? But also, how would you take into account the interests of the middle class? In the previous budget, there was a major relief in terms of taxation to the middle class. There are expectations this time around as well that there will be some kind of relief measures to especially the middle class, which form a significant chunk of the population. So is there scope going forth in the budget to provide that kind of relief to the common man, in particular the middle class?
Not on this budget only, but last time when this GST next gen reform was brought, the indirect tax have been reduced a lot, and in that the government has ensured that the benefit of lower tax for all the product is passed on to the consumers, customers. That is a strong oversight that the government has planned for implementation of lower tax regime in the product area. Secondly, the higher slab of 28% of GST has been almost done away with. Very few items are there in the tax slab of 28%. Maximum items are in a slab of all 12%, and some are there in 18%, and the products which are for the benefit of the poor segment or which are daily use products, they are in the category of almost 0 to 6%. So under the new GST regime, reduction in product cost has been implemented. So I think that is what is expected from GST, and that has been implemented.
Based on what we could gather from the representatives of the Congress party and the Aam Aadmi party, Gopalji, foreign policy issues are also going to be highlighted by these opposition parties, and especially in the wake of Trump tariffs, especially in the manner in which geopolitics is evolving every day. There will be a reason to celebrate in terms of the India-EU FTA, but there are several issues related to foreign policy where the opposition will be demanding clarity from the government.
As far as national interest is concerned, there is no compromise by our government on any pressure from the foreign countries. And we have to understand that global geopolitics is complicated at present. There are multiple factors which are operating. And in that complicated situation, if you have to look after your national interest, then there are certain challenges also. One way of dealing with foreign policy is just to get compromised and talk goody-goody and internally compromise on the national interest. But we under Modi ji are not doing that.
The time allows us to take up only that much on this program. It's been wonderful to hear perspectives from the three gentlemen from different political parties talking about the expectations, but most importantly, what is it that they will seek to highlight ahead of the budget session, where the government will bring in more clarity, while the centerpiece will be the budget. And as I highlighted earlier as well, that there will be a discussion on the motion of thanks as well in both houses. So how much scope will there be actually for other issues is something that we'll have to see. But I think lots on the agenda of the opposition parties, and of course the onus on the government to ensure that the budget session also turns out to be quite a productive one. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much. All the best for the Finance Minister, please.
You were listening to a discussion on issues before Parliament. The participants were Gopal Krishna Agarwal, spokesperson from Bharatiya Janata Party, G. Kumar Nayak, Lok Sabha MP from Indian National Congress, and Anmol Pawar, spokesperson from Aam Aadmi Party. Moderator was Tina Jha, journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289094044.